Hello, this is the cast of A Streetcar Named Desire. If you're just tuning in, let me explain to you what it is that we do here on a closer look into A Streetcar Named Desire. We meet the people behind the scenes and get their insight on the deeper themes and symbolism within the play that you may have missed. Tonight, we have with us the wonderful actors and actresses that played the roles of the delicate beauty, Blanche Dubois, the gentle young woman, Stella Kowalski, the vulgar, Stanley Kowalski, the nervous, soft-spoken Harold Mitchell, and the landlady, Eunice Hubble. First up is the tragic heroine of our play, Blanche Dubois, played by the one and only Sierra LePat. So, Sierra, can you catch our listeners up on the play?
My pleasure, Shawnee. The play is set in New Orleans in the 1940s. My character, Blanche, plays a fading Southern belle who's down on her luck and comes to stay with her sister, Stella, and Stella's husband, Stanley. Blanche and Stella grew up rich on a plantation called Belle Reve, which Blanche recently lost. So when Blanche sees that Stella and her husband are poor, she is shocked. Stanley's suspicious about how Blanche lost Belle Reve and thinks she may have sold it in secret and kept the money. This is the start of the growing tension between the two. After a few days, Stanley and his friends have a poker game. Here, Blanche meets Mitch, the least rough around the edges of all Stanley's friends. The two of them bond over the fact that they've both lost a spouse. At the party, Stanley has had too much to drink and hits Stella. She runs away to their neighbor's apartment, but Stanley quickly persuades her to come back. Later, Stanley runs into someone who knew Blanche back home. He confronts Blanche about her history at a hotel called the Flamingo, but she insists she would never be seen at such a cheap hotel. On one of their dates, Blanche reveals to Mitch the circumstances of her husband's death. The truth is that Blanche accidentally discovered that her husband was gay and told him that he made her sick at a party. He was distraught and shot himself, causing much of Blanche's trauma. Stanley tells Stella what he discovered about Blanche's past, the fact that she lost her teaching job because of an affair with a student, her history at the hotel, and the fact that she was forced to leave town because she was a known prostitute. Stanley exposes her past to Mitch and tries to persuade Blanche to leave. When Blanche next sees Mitch, he tells her that he knows the truth and that she's not wife material, but he'd still like to sleep with her. Blanche is hurt and sends him away. After he leaves, she is left alone with Stanley, who rapes her. A few weeks pass, and Blanche is taken away to a mental institution. Stella says that she couldn't believe her story and keep living with Stanley, but is clearly conflicted over sending her away. She stays with Stanley.
Hello, I'm Ashley Langston, and I play Stella Kowalski. As Sierra said, Stella is married to Stanley Kowalski, who is a brute of a man. My character, however, is utterly infatuated with him. Stella is blinded by her love for Stanley. She seems to be drawn to how different he is from the men back in her hometown. This love is fueled mostly by Stella's misconception of Stanley's carnal desires as a deep emotional sort of love for her. Even though Stanley physically abuses her, Stella always comes running back due to her blind love for him. Stella even seems unfazed when her sister is raped by Stanley, ultimately sticking by his side. This choice of loyalty brings another question to mind. Are we more loyal to our family or those we choose to associate with? In Stella's case, loyalty to her spouse trumps her loyalty to her sister. So Blanche ends up getting a pretty raw deal. Yes, she may have lied, but she really did seem to believe some of her stories. Her actions really make you think. Is lying the only way to get places? I would have to say no. I believe in hard work and drive to further yourself. What do you think, Melanie?
In the fantasy world, maybe you can get ahead by lying, but this is the real world. In the real world, your true colors will eventually show. This brings me to the theme of A Streetcar Named Desire, which is that fantasy cannot trump reality, for illusions can only last so long. Tennessee Williams wants the readers to learn that it is impossible to truly escape the reality. This theme is shown through Stella and Blanche not wanting to accept the truth about their individual situations. Stella wants everything to be perfect and accepts her abusive relationship, living as if she is truly happy. Similarly, Blanche puts on a facade. She gained a bad reputation for sleeping around with different men, and hoping to escape this, she visits her sister Stella. Here, she acts as if everything in Laurel didn't happen, as if she was an old-fashioned woman who was proper and modest. This is not true, for her past revealed that she is not what she claimed to be. In the end, Blanche is shown to be delusional. Her fantasy has set in as if it were reality, and she can no longer escape it. The message of the play is that escaping your reality and living in a fantasy world will leave you blind to the things around you. Both Stella and Blanche found it best in their minds to live in a fantasy, but if you live in it too long, it can take over your reality.
A Streetcar Named Desire is an excellent play that is drenched with vivid images that perfectly depict the social norms of New Orleans in the 1940s. It is a powerful play that speaks up about abuse, addiction, deception, and of course human desire. Tennessee Williams cleverly presents a character, Blanche Dubois, who is far from perfect and seen as a deceptive person. However, as the novel progresses, we see that she is not in control of her own actions due to mental illness, and she firmly believes some of her lies and therefore cannot be held accountable for her actions. The music that accompanies her in her thoughts creates a suspenseful effect throughout the novel. We see the issue of abuse presented many times. First, when Stanley beats Stella while she is pregnant, then again when Steve hits Eunice, his wife, and lastly, when Stanley rapes Blanche. This ties back into the revelation of the social norms of the time. Overall, this was an amazing book filled with suspense, action, and powerful emotion.